Good evening. Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Croom, and you already know what we're here for. It's Monday night. It's 7:30. It's the Senior Pet Chat. And I see we've got Gertrude Croom watching. All Rudy. We've got Mama Croom on the line. That's what I'm talking about. Anybody else who's out there who knows what it's like to have supreme support from your parental units, from your parents, really, no matter how old you get, it never stops being amazing. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. It was so great seeing you guys last night for Super Bowl Sunday. We had a lot of fun and hope you all did too. Excuse me. But we're back to business now, right? Rihanna got out there, she sang, she did her thing, right? And now we're back here doing our thing. And what is our thing? Our thing is Senior Pet Chat. Every Monday night, we're here. There are so many senior pets out there and senior pet owners who want to make sure they are doing the absolute best for their fur babies, okay? It can be difficult. We think, oh, new puppy, new kitten, easy, just feed them but then as they get to be 7, 8, 9 years old and start to get into that senior pet category, then things can change. But they do not have to change for the worse, okay? First of all, you've got an amazing resource right here, okay? Not to toot my own horn, but, Gertrude Croom says from time to time, you got to toot your own horn. You know what I'm saying? We are here for that reason. We are here for you as a senior pet owner. Now, if you're here in my state of Michigan, then of course, you have access to everything, right? You have access to our virtual visits where we can discuss what's going on with your pet parent. You have access to us coming to your home. If you're in the Southwest Michigan area, right, we can come out. But even if you're outside of Michigan, you can still have access to our holistic consultations, right? So we have that in our offerings. So for example, say you're in Texas, right? You've got a senior pet, things are happening. You really can't find a holistic veterinarian down there to save your life. You're like, okay, everybody's trying to foist these pharmaceuticals on my senior pet. And you're like, no, I need somebody else. You can have access to this veterinarian in Michigan if it's all for holistic modalities, okay? So if it's, you're trying to do herbs, you're trying to see if CBD can help for certain things, pain, various supplements that can help the joints. All of those are holistic, do not require a prescription. So keep that in mind. If you're outside of Michigan, you do have access to all the senior pet goodness we have here. So, all right. So welcome everybody again. Thank you, Gertrude Croom, for watching. We've also got Mr. Robert Crazy Air Holmes in the building. Great to see you. I hear you. Robert said, I miss that support. If you have that kind of support and then it's gone, meaning support for your senior pet and, ideas, suggestions, throwing things out there to help your pet, and then all of a sudden it's gone, you can totally understand missing that support, Robert. And then we've also got the amazing Michelle D. Clark on the ones and twos as well. Good evening, Miss Lady. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about a topic that comes up again and again. It's a question I get. It's a part of my pretty much every day, especially when working with senior pets. Okay, and that is having to do with the C word, cancer. Okay, I know. Who wants to sit here and think about this or talk about this? Well, senior pet owners that are on top of things realize that holistic care means preventative care, okay? Usually when you hear preventative, you're like, okay, we prevent, heartworm medication, all vaccinations, and all of those things. And that is true. On the traditional veterinary medicine side of things, vaccinations and things for heartworm are preventative, right? And they're preventative for all the animals. But when you get onto the holistic side of the house, where I'm at, then you have so many more options that just pop open and reveal themselves. And you don't have to know all the answers to everything. That's why I'm here. So when people ask about cancer and how it forms, it is very similar to in humans. A lot of the things that we have found out in past years has been that a lot of cancers, well, first of all, cancer is very simple in that it's a proliferation of cells. It's an over proliferation of cells. All of a sudden, the cells in a certain part of the body get a message and they're like, ah, and then they just start growing, growing, growing. And that's where a lump or a tumor or a mass forms. Okay. So it's the same thing in our pets as in humans. Something sparks that overgrowth. That spark could be genetic. We know we hear about hereditary, certain breeds are predisposed to cancers more so. And so we want to make sure that we know those breeds beforehand, right? Certain cat breeds, certain dog breeds definitely are more predisposed to getting cancer. And so you want to know that beforehand so you can be ready with these preventative measures. Okay, so these cells are just over proliferating and then they're reaching out and spreading into other parts of the body. Now, if you know anything about cancer, you know there's benign and malignant, right? Benign and malignant. Benign means, yes, there could be a mass there. It could be a tumor, but it's not going to spread in a way that's just going to be spreading throughout the body and causing more cancer and potentially death, okay? Malignant, though, that's the one where if it spreads to various lymph nodes, right, throughout the body, then the chances of saving that animal's life becomes less. You get less of a chance to save that pet's life. So what is cancer? That's what it is. It's simply an overproliferation of cells that can be triggered by hereditary. It can be triggered by some type of attack, right? A nervous situation. You know, we talk about the fact that holistic medicine is not just the physical body, right? So we know that the spiritual body, the mind, and all of that can be affected, and that can cause a trigger of cancer, right? Stress can cause an overproliferation of cells. All of these things, but also how your pet eats. Now, we hear about this really a lot on the human side, right? More and more in these past, couple of decades where the links to what we eat, saturated fats and butter and things like that. I'm not trying to get on the keto folks out there, okay? I know we got some keto folks over there who are like, let me slather this butter on this steak, get this baked potato, and I've lost 10 pounds last week, okay? So not jumping on you guys, but just keeping in mind that with our pets, especially those that are carnivores or omnivores like our cats and dogs, they can be troubled by high levels of saturated fat and things like that too, right? We know that eggs, super high in saturated fats, and all meats as well, right? So we want to be very careful with those things with respect to cancer and not just think that, okay, well, it's a dog, so he's got to have meat and it really doesn't matter. Yes, it does. And yes, it can. And it can have a direct link to cancer. Okay. We see, it looks like we've got a comment over here. Hello, Jennifer Hammond. Good evening to you too. She said she shared. I love it when you guys share. When you're here, if you can just click the share button, you never know who in your network might need this information. Like I said, senior pets are spread out all over this country, and one of your friends or family members might need to hear what we're talking about. So thank you, Jennifer, for sharing, and I appreciate all of you who are with me tonight and are sharing as well. So let's see. All right. So we talked about cancer and where it comes from. We know that certain breeds can be predisposed. We'll talk about the Labrador real quick. Labrador retrievers are one of the most common types of dogs that we see here at Dr. Croom Mobile Veterinary Service. and they are one of the top breeds of dogs that unfortunately get a lot of lumps and bumps, and we call them the lumpy bumpy babies. Every time I meet them, because they're always so sweet. We get to their home and they come right up, and you're like, they just give you all this love, and then they have this extra love because they have a lot of times, especially with senior labs, they will get a lot of lumps and bumps and nodules across their body. Now, a lot of times those lumps and bumps can be benign, right? They can just be a mass. A lot of times when people come to me as a holistic vet, they may have already seen their traditional vet. They may have already had some fluid drawn off of this mass, and maybe that other vet said, okay, you know what? It's just a lipoma, a little fatty mass or something like that. That is what we want to hear. There's almost no getting away from some of these lumps and bumps with the labs and some of these other breeds. Excuse me. But it's always great when we hear that some of these masses are actually benign and not malignant. But one of the things that I want you to look for, and one of my goals, because we have holistic pet care right at home. That's my mantra. When you think of holistic pet care right at home, I want you to think of Dr. Croom, okay? Because I'm always going to drop a nugget or two on how you can do some of these things that I'm suggesting right at home, okay? So one of the things you can do if you have a lumpy bumpy baby, or you have a dog or a cat, or really any animal that may have a mass somewhere that all of a sudden just popped up. Some of the things that you want to look for is the speed with which it's growing, right? Sometimes I'll have a client who their pet has a mass and they've had the mass for like 6 years. Oh yeah, I've had the mass for 6 years. It's never grown. It's never been warm. Have an opening where stuff is coming out. None of that stuff has a spread across the body. That sounds like, just a benign mass that's there. And one of the ways that you at home can know some of the differences, and now this is not set in stone, okay? But these are just some of the things that we look for when we are there feeling on these masses that could be cancer. One, we talked about the lipomas, which are fatty masses, which can be across the body. A lot of times those masses are loose and free to move around. Now, if you've got a lab with lumps or any type of breed that has lumps and bumps, you know what I'm talking about. You take the mass in your hand on the dog's body, right? And you can move it around relatively freely, kind of like a lymph node, right? We know how our lymph nodes are like in different places on our body, and they're movable. You can kind of like move it around a little bit. It's not like stuck in one place, right? So that's one of the things that you want to look for at home. If you've got a pet with masses, like, okay, is this kind of like freely moving around? And if so, there's a higher chance that it's benign, that it's okay. Again, nothing set in stone. You have to look at the individual animal. But these are just some of the kind of baselines that you can look at yourself right at home, okay? Now, if the mass or the tumor is more so like you feel it and it's not moving around at all, right? It's there. It seems like it's attached by a stalk. And you're like, okay, it's here. And it seems like it's been growing a little bit and it's not movable at all. That tends to have a lower probability of success. Unfortunately, a lot of times when masses are stuck in one place and it seems like they're attached by a stalk, that can be somewhat bad. Okay. So that's just one nugget I wanted to drop to those of you who have senior pets with lumps that show up. Okay, so you can have a little bit more confidence. Maybe you've had one mass, like I said, was looked at a couple years ago and it was a lipoma, but now here we are 2 years later and maybe a couple more are starting to form. You can feel confident in knowing that, okay, this one also is loose and it's free. Okay, probably another lipoma. Sure, you can definitely go in and have that mass tested as well. But you can just have a little bit of extra confidence if it's not stuck on hard like that there may be a better chance. Okay, so let's see. Hi there, Katie Wright. Great to see you tonight. Let me see. We've got a comment by Robert. He said, when pets are concerned, what they consume is the first defense against cancer. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree. Like I said, it's very, very similar as humans, where that's one of the main things that we can actually control. We can't control the hereditary. We can't control the genetics of our pet, unless we're breeders and we're doing all of that, right? But in general, if you get a dog or you get a cat or you get a furry, fluffy rabbit from somewhere, we don't know what their genetics are going to do. We can't predict that. But one of the things we can do is get with Dr. Croom and our holistic education so that you can learn some of these things and feel more confident about what's going on with your fur babies. Okay? So, all right. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. One of the issues with senior pets is cancer. We talked a little bit about some of the ways that you can, right at home, figure out for yourself whether it may be going this way or it may be going this way. Keeping in mind that you can do a holistic consultation with us, even if you're outside of the state of Michigan. And I will say that we've got some really, really great herbs that fight cancer. They're specifically for cancer, and I've got several of them. I've got one that's for masses on the heart. I've got one that's for masses that are scattered throughout the body, like we talked about with the lumpy, bumpy babies. We've got one that's for masses that are malignant and are moving and are, and it's got this strength to it that's supposed to break up the stagnation of these tumors. Okay, in traditional Chinese veterinary medicine or holistic veterinary care, stagnation is what tumors and cancer are. If you can think about it, it makes so much sense. It's stagnant, nothing's moving in and out. It's just staying still like that. We want to clear out those stagnations and let the blood and the chi, which is the energy spark, run freely through the body. Okay, break up those cancer particles and do away with them. We have another herb that is for when the lipomas are benign, when they're small, right, across the body, little masses. You're like, okay, we don't think that's this cancer. We've had them for a long time, but we want to reduce these masses. We don't like how they look. One of them may be in an area of the pet's body that's just irritating or annoying. We've got an herb for that as well. Okay, so you guys, I'm telling you, I get so excited about this because this is my passion. Okay, senior pets are my passion. Okay, around here, we love senior pets. We love their little grizzled grays, right? We love their little attitudes. It's like, I've been on this earth longer than you. So, they give you those little eyes, those little senior pet eyes. Like, even today, my mom will tell you, oh my God, sorry, Imani. I just saw your name on there. Good to see you, Imani. Even today, when we were leaving the house, and Mayo, even though she's not fully in the senior category yet, she gave me much attitude today. Oh, yes, she did. Okay. We were leaving the house. I'm like, go get the ball, so we can take her toy back from where we were back home. And she picked it up and she did get it, but then she dropped it. And I was like, we were heading out to the car. I had stuff in my hands. I'm like, get the toy. She looked at it like, I was like, get the ball. And she sat down. Like, why are you? I'm telling you. So I love it though. I love it. I love it. They have that little attitude. And what are you going to do? Right? Probably what they say that they want you to do. Because a lot of times senior pets are the ones that are running the households out here. Okay. Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. Okay. So one final thing I will say, some of those herbs that I was talking about, they're not going to be available just straight off of the Dr. Croom site. Okay. We know that drcroom.com is where you can go to get not only my CBD products for your pets, but also some of the herbs. But the herbs that are available for things like cancer and diabetes and, major bodily, those are not going to just be on the website. You need a consultation for those with a veterinarian before we start using those. Okay. But there are other herbs on the site that are for kind of like more everyday things, hind quarter issues, right? Anxiety, where the Shen Calmer is flies off the shelves. I just ordered more Shen Calmer because people are now starting to buy them in the full containers instead of the smaller, aliquots of Shen Calmer. We've got something for the body soreness. Senior pets, animals, performance animals, dogs, cats, horses, sore bodies. We've got something for that. And then one other is the Wei Qi Booster. Now, if you're familiar again with traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, you know that the Qi is that energetic spark, right? We have them as humans, the pets have them. And this herb that I have called Wei Qi Booster can really help senior pets that are maybe a little lethargic or they seem like they've kind of lost their spark to get that spark back on. So check out drcroom.com. We've got a variety of items. If you are interested in the holistic lifestyle for your pet, that's definitely the place to go. All right. And if you do wind up getting some of the Dr. Croom CBD products, there's a code you can use. You get that 20% off for being here. Okay. You showed up, you showed out, and now you get 20% off. So make sure you take a hold of that code there. And if you need CBD for your pet's anxiety, pain, balancing out, gut issues, skin issues, that's where you need to go. Okay. All right. So I will be back tomorrow. Monday night is definitely senior pet chat night, but I've been going live more often because we got more stuff happening over here. It's not only senior pets. So look out tomorrow. I'm going to have a special announcement tomorrow, and you don't want to miss this. Okay. It has to do with some education that I'm going to be providing free of charge. And again, don't miss it. All right. So everyone does love a preferred rate. I know that's right. Yes, ma'am. Michelle Clark, she knows the deal. When you're here, you get that 20% off. That's because you're a preferred customer of mine. Okay. All right. So we're out of here. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Take care.